Are you looking for that perfect house plant, one that is easy to maintain? Well, look no further. Aglaonemas. Lately, I find the hybrids, the colorful hybrids, are gaining in popularity. And in this video, we will show you how to maintain aglaonemas so you get the most out of them in your home. So stay tuned. Welcome back to another Calyx video. I'm Thelma, and as we said in the pre-jingle, we are going to be focusing on aglaonema. And surrounding me here is my personal collection of aglaonemas that I've had indoors for periods of time exceeding 5-6 years. And they're very well adapted to indoor light condition, easy to maintain, and that's probably why they are rated among the most popular of the house plants. In today's video, we'll be looking at 4 critical aspects. First, the indoor environment, the conditions under which your plants are likely to perform and last, staying in a healthy condition for a long period of time, and that essentially is the lighting. Then we will look at the general maintenance, making sure you start off with a healthy plant and what you have to do in order to keep it in that condition. But before I get into the nitty-gritty of that, I think I should take the time to introduce you to some of the more modern, the prettier varieties. They're new to me, so we're just going to share some of that with you now. So, item 1, lighting. Knowledge of the lighting requirements of your plants is very important because even in the aglaonemas, you have those that will do better in a low light condition. And here this Aglaonema Maria, you see the darker shade of the leaves. This one is really well adapted to a low light condition. Whereas any aglaonema that has a lot of coloration, whether it's the pinks, the reds, or the splashes of white, they need a little bit more lighting in order to show their colors. So this, the colorful ones would like a medium light location. So it's important to get a sense what we're talking about when we talk about low light and medium light, and certainly we're not talking about direct sunlight. This diagram illustrates how lighting conditions would vary in the average well-lit room depending on whether the window is facing north, south, east, or west. Blue represents areas of low light and orange represents moderate light. Of course, bright light conditions would occur within 2 feet of windows. And tip 2, you have to start with healthy plants, whether you get them as gifts or you've purchased one. I actually have purchased this plant in order to demonstrate that. The plants that you acquire, make sure you check them out very closely before you take them home with you. You look under the leaves to see if there's anything there. Feel the leaves. If there's a grainy feeling, then you can be suspicious that there might be mites under there. Mites are very difficult to see with the naked eye sometimes, but what you look for are little specks of black, and if you rub the leaves and it comes across feeling very sandy, take a closer look. Another problem that you may have with your aglaonemas, because the bottom of the leaves are so closely wrapped around the stem, you have to look closely to see if there are any scales or mites hiding in there. You also look to see if there were any older leaves cut off, and if there were, you ask yourself why that would be. And look at the soil level, soil surface. Touch it a bit. If anything flies up from that, that's likely to be fungus gnats. Not a good sign. Make sure that the media is not waterlogged, and in general, examine your plants. Once you've done it a few times, then you don't take as much time as I'm now taking, but a quick look will show you whether or not the plant that you're about to purchase is healthy. And I'm happy to say, well, I did check before buying. This is a very healthy Aglaonema. Inspecting your plant may be a bit more difficult when it's a larger plant, but nevertheless, you still should take the time to do so. And this is my home plant, so I'm just showing what you may see if in a plant that is this size. Check to make sure if there are older leaves. You take them off, look to see if there are any scales hiding under the trash here, whether or not they've been any leaves removed that you wouldn't expect. Few trashy leaves, not a problem. And same thing, you look at the soil, you tease it apart a bit. Generally, ensure that the plant you're taking home is healthy, and that's a message in tip 2. The third tip for a healthy plant indoors is conditioning. Now, what do we mean by that? In most cases, the growing conditions in the nursery or even in the garden center would be different from your conditions indoors. It is likely that the lighting conditions in the nursery or in the garden center would be a bit brighter than in your home, so this plant would need to be acclimatized. And to acclimatize your newly bought plant to the lighting conditions in your home, we recommend that you first keep it in a relatively bright condition, similar to the condition you found at the nursery that you bought it at, and leave it there for 4 or 5 days. Then over the period of, say, a week, you move it again to a somewhat lower light condition until you get to the point similar to the lighting condition in your home. That entire period may well take you, depending on the changes in the light, it may take you up to a month. Aglaonema is certainly an easy plant to care for, but you have to be prepared to do the basic maintenance. And in that, we're talking about watering, fertilizing, and looking at it, general care, pruning when necessary, and monitoring, talking to your plant as usual. They respond. So we're going to cover the watering and the fertilizing and a little bit of what you look for in the general routine maintenance of your Aglaonema. And for that, I'm using my largest specimen. This is a Silver Bay. It's a nice silvery color. It does very well in the low light conditions, and I've had this plant in this pot for about 6 years, and I have never had a problem with it, but it does need its maintenance, so let's get going. First of all, watering. Aglaonema does not like, and very few plants like to have their feet wet, so avoid having wet soil at all times. In terms of watering, keep your Aglaonema mix moist but not wet. And certainly before watering, check to make sure that the top 2 or 3 inches of the soil is dry. And normally, as in terms of routine maintenance, I water these plants once a week. And I should mention a consequence of one of the main problems you may run into if you're overwatering your Aglaonema is root rot. That is likely to be your biggest problem, so again, pay attention to watering. In terms of fertilizer, you really should not need to fertilize more often than once a month with a balanced and NPK foliar fertilizer at the rate recommended on the package. And in your routine inspection for watering, just keep an eye out to make sure that there are no pests that decide to take up residence in your plant. And finally, if you want your plant to continue looking at its best, you have to come through and assist it. It will shed its leaves, but it will shed its leaves at a pace that may not be the most aesthetic for an indoor plant. And if there are leaves that are turning yellow, you will likely wish to remove it. And here I found one on my Silver Bay. Not fully yellow, but certainly getting a bit old. So I'm going to remove that and show you how to do it in the correct manner. So here's a leaf we're going to remove from this Aglaonema Silver Bay. And the first thing before you take a cutter to your plant, you sterilize it. And here I'm using hydrogen peroxide 3%. just spraying it on and removing the excess. And in removing the leaf, you take it all the way back to the stem. Don't cut it here, take it all the way back to the stem. And I saved these older leaves on this Donna Maria to give you a better feel for how you remove your older leaves and the difference it makes to the overall appearance of the plant once you've removed your leaves. See? And after you've removed any older leaves, you may wish to, if you see a film of dust on your plant, and just gently place your hand under the leaves and wipe them. I generally do not use leaf shine because leaf shine blocks the pores, and in the end, that does not do the plant any good. So I use just water. You could also use a dilute concentration of milk and water, probably about 1 part milk to 3 parts water. That will give it a natural looking sheen. And while I'm in this location, wiping these leaves, let me just highlight these blooms. Aglaonemas, yes, do produce flowers as they mature. I like them, and some of them could be fragrant, but the presence of the flowers, well, once they're dried up, it removes from the aesthetic. So you remove them once they're dried, but the flowers, while they remain, will take away some energy from the plant and reduce the growth. So if it is that you're looking for rapid vegetative growth, you can come in and remove the flowers. But I'm leaving these. As most plants have a tendency to grow towards the light, don't forget to give your plants a quarter turn every few weeks or so to prevent it growing lopsided. So that's it for Aglaonema maintenance. Quite easy. Make sure you start off with a healthy plant, treat it well, do not overwater it, keep an eye out on it, and you're guaranteed to have your Aglaonema plant responding well to your attentions. I hope you enjoyed this video. Share it with your friends, tell them about it, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe so that you will get a notification when we upload our weekly videos. And until next time, this is Thelma from the Calyx Growing Things Garden saying bye-bye.